It begins with you. 9 hard truths about love that will change your life. When we talk about love, most people want the fairy tale. Connection without conflict, attraction without effort, a happily ever after that doesn't require us to look too deeply at our wounds. But as relationship coach, teacher, and author Jillian Cherokee makes clear in her book It Begins With You, 9 hard truths about love that will change your life, the reality of love is far more complex and far more rewarding if we are willing to do the work. In a recent interview with Matthew Hussey on the Love Life podcast, Jillian unpacked her personal story and professional insights, offering lessons that are both sobering and liberating for anyone navigating modern relationships. Why good enough can still be dangerous. Jillian openly shared that in her first marriage, 90% of the relationship felt wonderful, but the other 10% was deeply problematic. Many people dismiss that 10% as normal relationship imperfection, but for her, those red flags eventually became the dominant reality. The lesson? Unresolved problems expand over time. When early warning signs are ignored, withdrawal, stonewalling, emotional inconsistency, they don't vanish, they metastasize. What feels like small compromises early on often become the very patterns that erode love in the long run. The silent killer of love, stonewalling. One of Jillian's most powerful observations was about stonewalling. Unlike mere poor communication, stonewalling is when a partner emotionally shuts down, building an invisible wall you cannot penetrate. This may look subtle to outsiders, but it leaves the other partner feeling exiled from the relationship. Over time, it breeds insecurity, resentment, and desperation. Jillian's takeaway is unambiguous. If someone consistently refuses to talk about feelings, conflicts, or needs, the relationship has no foundation. Emotional unavailability cannot be excused by, that's just the way they are. For Jillian today, her boundary is clear. If a partner cannot communicate, even clumsily, he does not get access to her heart. The trap of people-pleasing and walking on eggshells. Growing up with a father who had undiagnosed bipolar disorder, Jillian developed hypersensitivity to emotional shifts, learning to walk on eggshells. This childhood imprint showed up in her marriage, where she prioritized keeping the peace over voicing her truth. Her insight: people-pleasing masquerades as love, but it's actually fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of abandonment. Fear of not being enough. When we suppress ourselves to maintain harmony, we are not preserving love. We are simply prolonging the death of intimacy. Accountability, the missing ingredient in most therapy. Jillian criticized traditional couples therapy that simply mediates conversations without real confrontation. She argues that effective relationship coaching requires tough love that exposes toxic dynamics, accountability for each person's role in the conflict, honest excavation of family patterns and childhood wounds. Without accountability, no relationship can thrive. Partners must own their contribution, however small, to the dysfunction. Avoiding this responsibility is a recipe for stagnation. Rewriting limiting beliefs after heartbreak. After her marriage collapsed, Jillian faced crushing beliefs. I'm too old to start over. No one will want me childless at 40. I've missed my chance. But she learned that beliefs are not truths, they are programs. They are inherited from family, culture, or fear, and they can be rewritten. By surrounding herself with people who embodied different possibilities, divorced women thriving in midlife, she dismantled those false narratives. Her advice: write down your limiting beliefs, interrogate their truth, and replace them with empowering alternatives. The most common self-sabotage in dating. According to Jillian, one of the most destructive modern patterns is what she calls playing house with a stranger. Sleeping with someone quickly, acting like a committed couple, avoiding deep conversations about values, goals, or long-term compatibility. This creates the illusion of intimacy without the substance of partnership. What's really happening is two people projecting fantasies onto each other rather than building authentic connection. The root cause: desperation to be loved, often intensified by age, societal pressure, or fear of being alone. The illusion of the one. Jillian also warns against the unconscious belief in a perfect partner who will fix everything. This fantasy turns relationships into salvation projects, setting us up for disappointment when reality intrudes. True love isn't about finding someone flawless. It's about finding someone willing to do the work with you through the inevitable flaws, conflicts, and transitions. Love is maintenance, not magic. Perhaps Jillian's most radical assertion is this: anyone can do the honeymoon phase. The butterflies, the passion, the weekend getaways, that part is easy. The real test begins when flaws emerge, conflicts arise, and the pedestal crumbles. Love then becomes less about emotion and more about skill, communication, self-awareness, accountability, and the courage to stay open when it feels easier to shut down. Final thought. Jillian Taraki's philosophy is both a warning and an invitation. Love will not save you from yourself. It will, however, expose every unresolved wound, insecurity, and belief you carry. And in doing so, it gives you the opportunity to evolve, if you are willing to face the hard truths. As her book title reminds us, it begins with you. We often hear people say that love is a feeling. While this is true in part, it is dangerously incomplete. Feelings may spark connection, but they do not sustain a relationship. What comes after emotion is not simply luck or fate. It is a skill, a choice, and a conscious decision to build something lasting. Emotion is the beginning, not the foundation. Falling in love feels effortless. You meet someone, you feel the rush of attraction, and life suddenly feels brighter. This emotional high is intoxicating, much like the honeymoon phase of starting a new project or business. But just as in business, the initial excitement fades. At that point, if all you have is emotion, you're simply a passenger in the relationship, drifting along as long as it feels good, but unprepared when difficulties arise. True love demands that you move from passenger to driver, taking responsibility for steering the relationship forward. The skill of loving, competence in relationship. A relationship is not just about being in love, it's about having the competence to love well. That competence includes Emotional intelligence, managing your own emotions and empathizing with your partners. Conflict resolution, knowing how to disagree without destroying trust. Communication, expressing needs and listening actively. Commitment in action, showing consistency, reliability, and care. Just as no one would expect to run a successful business without learning management skills, you cannot expect to thrive in love without practicing the skills of relating. The decision to stay and build. Love is not passive. At some point, you must decide to love. You must choose to stay when emotions dip, to invest effort when challenges arise, to treat your partner not as a fleeting source of pleasure, but as a life partner worthy of patience and sacrifice. This decision transforms love from a temporary high into a durable bond.